If you've ever thought about buying real estate in Ontario, you may have heard about Ontario's first-time home buyer tax refund. In this video, we'll talk about how this tax refund works and who is eligible for the refund. To be clear, this video will not be addressing any of Canada's federal programs for first-time homebuyers, such as the Canada Revenue Agency Home Buyers Plan. This video will focus only on the province of Ontario. First, it's important to understand that when you buy a home in Ontario, you pay something called a land transfer tax. If you are buying a home within the city of Toronto, then you will also have to pay an additional land transfer tax to the city of Toronto in the same amount as the Ontario land transfer tax. This means that homebuyers who purchase a home in Toronto are basically paying double the amount of land transfer tax. First-time homebuyers of an eligible home may be able to receive a refund for all or part of the tax, but you first must apply for the refund within 18 months after the date you complete your home purchase. If the first-time homebuyer purchased land within the city of Toronto, then they will fortunately be able to qualify for an additional refund to offset the fact that they are paying twice as much land transfer tax compared to people who buy homes elsewhere in Ontario. Let's take a few moments to discuss the criteria which determine your eligibility for the first-time home buyer refund. First, you must be at least 18 years of age. Second, you cannot have owned a home anywhere in the world. In other words, previous ownership in a home automatically disqualifies you from receiving the first-time home buyer's refund, even if that home was located outside of Canada. Furthermore, the way you acquire the home does not matter, even if you only receive the home as a gift or through an inheritance. Third, you must occupy the home as your principal residence within 9 months of the date that the land was transferred into your name. The fourth requirement may not necessarily apply to everyone, but if you signed an agreement of purchase and sale before December 14th, 2007, then the home that you purchased must have been a newly constructed home, and you must have met the eligibility criteria for that Ontario New Home Warranty. Of course, 2007 was a long time ago, so it's not really relevant today. The fifth requirement also might not necessarily apply to everyone, but if you have a spouse, then your spouse cannot have owned a home anywhere in the world during that time that he or she was your spouse. This requirement is similar to the second requirement that we mentioned before, but it means that both spouses will be disqualified if either spouse cannot meet the second requirement that we mentioned. These are the basic requirements, but that are also some additional requirements based on the citizenship and immigration status of home buyers. As of January 1st, 2017, only Canadian citizens and permanent residents of Canada are eligible for the first-time home buyers refund program in Ontario. Things get a little bit more complicated if two spouses are buying a home, and where only one spouse is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, so we recommend reaching out to one of our real estate lawyers if that situation applies to you. For now, let's move on to how land transfer taxes are calculated, so you can get an idea of how large a refund might be. For home purchases that occurred before January 1st, 2017, the maximum amount of the refund is $2,000. However, for purchases that happened on or after January 1st, 2017, the maximum amount of the refund is $4,000. We mentioned before that first-time home buyers who purchase a home within the city of Toronto may be eligible for an additional tax refund, so it's important to keep in mind that the maximum amount of the refund in Toronto is an additional $4,475. In other words, if you qualified for the maximum of both refunds, you would receive a total refund of $8,475. Land transfer taxes are calculated using a simple formula, and we'll take a few moments to explain this formula. Let's say you're buying a house in Toronto for $2,500,000. A tax rate of 0.5% applies to the first $55,000 of the value of the home, which equals $275. The tax rate goes up to 1% on the next $195,000, which equals $1,950. The tax rate on the next $150,000 is 1.5, which equals $2,250. The tax rate on the next $1,600,000 is 2%, which equals $32,000. And finally, the tax rate for any amount above $2 million is 2.5%. Therefore, in this example, a home purchased in Toronto for $2.5 million would have an Ontario land transfer tax of $48,975, which is equal to $275 plus $1,950 plus $2,250 plus $32,000 plus $12,500. That same transaction would also require you to pay an additional land transfer tax to the City of Toronto in the same amount as the Ontario land transfer tax. Therefore, the total land transfer taxes would equal $97,950. However, let's say that you were a first-time home buyer who qualified for the tax refunds. In this example, you would receive $4,000 for the Ontario Land Transfer Tax Refund and $4,475 for the Toronto Land Transfer Tax Refund for a total of $8,475. These refunds would reduce your land transfer taxes from $97,950 to $89,475. If all that math sounded a little bit confusing, don't worry about having to do the math yourself. You can always head over to kpalawyers.ca and use our land transfer tax refund calculator. You can find the link to our calculator in the description of this video. Please keep in mind that this video is intended for illustrative purposes only and is not intended as legal advice. Some of the language used in explaining certain concepts in this video have been simplified to keep those concepts easier to understand. We've intentionally excluded technical language for your ease and convenience. For that reason, we strongly recommend that you consult a qualified real estate lawyer before making any decisions about real estate which could affect your financial or legal situation. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment with a topic that you'd like us to make a video about. You can also support our effort to make free legal information available to Canadians by supporting us on Patreon.